On the other side of the mirror, Sophie pounded the glass. Her voice carried faintly into the chamber. "Danny, can you hear me? Come back." Daniel turned, seeing her distorted face beyond the glass. His heart ached. She was terrified for him, but she didn't understand. "Not yet." The girl reached out again. "She can't save you. Only you can decide who you are." Daniel's pulse thundered. Every instinct screamed to run back, to escape this impossible place. But another part of him, a deeper, truer part, ached to take her hand and stop living divided. The puzzle box materialized in his hands again, glowing brighter than ever. A final piece shifted on its own, revealing one last inscription etched into the wood. "One self will fade. The other will remain." Daniel's knees nearly buckled. To step forward meant change. Irreversible change. But to step back meant returning to a life where he never felt whole. Behind the glass, Sophie cried out his name. Before him, the girl whispered softly, "Please, let me out." Daniel closed his eyes, heart pounding with the weight of the decision. And then, slowly, he took her hand. The instant Daniel's hand closed around hers, a shockwave of light erupted from the mirror. The crystal chamber shattered into brilliance, and Daniel felt his body dissolve, pulled, stretched, rewritten. Every nerve screamed, but beneath the fear was a rising sense of release, like chains falling away. When the light dimmed, Daniel was kneeling on the bathroom floor again. But Sophie's gasp told him everything had changed. Danny?" Sophie stammered, her coffee cup slipping from her hands and shattering. Daniel looked down at himself. His hoodie pulled differently on his frame, too loose, too long. His hands were slimmer, fingers delicate. Hair spilled across his shoulders in chestnut waves that hadn't been there before. His reflection in the mirror confirmed it. The girl wasn't behind the glass anymore. She was here. Daniel raised a trembling hand to his face, tracing his softer jawline, the unfamiliar curve of his cheekbones. His voice cracked into a higher pitch when he whispered, I think it's me." Sophie pressed her palms to her mouth, wide-eyed. "Oh my God. It actually changed you." Daniel stumbled to his feet, dizzy. His jeans clung differently to his legs. Even walking felt strange, like his body wasn't quite his own. Panic flared in his chest, threatening to crush the fragile calm. "This can't be real. This isn't real," he muttered, backing away from the mirror. But the girl, his reflection, smiled back at him with calm certainty. No longer separate. No longer trapped. Sophie stepped closer, hesitating before placing a hand on his arm. "Danny, or should I not even call you that anymore?" The question sliced through him. For the first time, he realized he didn't know what to call himself. Who he was now. The puzzle box, now lying on the counter, gave one final click. Another compartment opened, revealing a slip of parchment. Daniel picked it up with trembling fingers. "This is only the beginning. To walk this path, you must carry her name." Sophie frowned. "Her name? What does that mean?" Daniel's chest tightened. He didn't have the answer. But as he stared at the parchment, he couldn't shake the feeling that the box wasn't finished with him, not by a long shot. Sophie exhaled hard, trying to laugh, but failing. Okay. This is insane. But you're my cousin. And whatever this box is doing to you, I'm not letting you go through it alone." Her voice softened as she looked him in the eye. "We'll figure this out. Together." Daniel's throat ached. He wanted to believe her. But as he caught his reflection again, soft features, unfamiliar body, he knew deep down, this wasn't something Sophie could fix. This was a journey only he could face. And it had just begun. Daniel, or rather, the girl staring back from the mirror, sat on the bathroom floor long after Sophie left to fetch a mop for the spilled coffee. His heart thudded, every breath shaky. This wasn't just some illusion anymore. His body was undeniably different, and every second that passed made it more real. When Sophie returned, she kept her distance at first, as though afraid of spooking him. "You're still you," she said softly, crouching down. "Just a new you. Don't freak out, okay?" But Daniel was already freaking out. His hoodie felt like it belonged to someone else. The way his jeans hugged his legs was unsettling. Even the sound of his voice when he whispered, "I don't know who I am anymore," sent shivers down his spine. Later that day, Daniel tried to leave the apartment, desperate for some fresh air. But the moment he stepped into the hallway, Mrs. Larson, his nosy elderly neighbor, waved at him. "Good morning, sweetie," she called. Daniel froze. Sweetie? She'd never called him that before. He muttered something unintelligible and ducked back inside, slamming the door. Sophie, watching him with wide eyes, shook her head. "Danny, people are already seeing it. You can't just pretend nothing happened." "I don't have a choice," he snapped, then winced at the high, sharp edge in his voice. "If people think I'm different, they'll ask questions. I can't explain this." As if on cue, the puzzle box rattled on the counter. Its carvings glowed faintly again, humming with energy. Sophie stepped back. "It's doing something." Daniel approached cautiously. Another panel slid open, revealing a folded piece of parchment. He unfolded it and read aloud. "Hiding breaks the spell. Living completes it." Sophie blinked. "So, it wants you to live like this? To stop hiding?" Daniel's stomach knotted. He didn't want to believe it. But deep down, the message made an uncomfortable kind of sense. That night, Sophie convinced him to try something small. "Let's go for a walk. Just around the block. If people stare, so what? You'll survive. And if no one does, maybe that tells you something." Daniel pulled up his hoodie, clutching the fabric like a shield. They stepped outside under the glow of the streetlights, the air cool against his skin. Every step felt like walking into a spotlight. He expected whispers, laughter, pointing fingers. But nothing happened. A jogger passed them without a glance. A couple walked their dog, nodding politely. To them, Daniel wasn't someone strange. He was just a girl in a hoodie, out for a walk with her cousin. His chest tightened, not from fear this time, but from a strange, dizzying relief. When they got back inside, Sophie grinned. "See? The world didn't end." No one saw Danny. They saw her. Daniel sank onto the couch, head spinning. "But I don't even have a name. How can I be her if I don't know who she is?" The puzzle box pulsed faintly again, as though waiting. And Sophie, leaning against the doorway, said quietly, "Maybe that's the next step. Maybe it's time you find her name." Daniel lay awake that night, staring at the ceiling while the puzzle box pulsed softly on the nightstand like a heartbeat. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw her, his reflection, her smile, the pleading in her eyes. And every time, the words from the parchment echoed. "To walk this path, you must carry her name." But what name? The next morning, Sophie sat at his tiny kitchen table, sipping tea and scrolling through her phone while Daniel picked out a bowl of cereal. "You've been quiet," she said finally. "Too quiet. I know that look, you're spiraling." "I don't even know who I am anymore," Daniel muttered. His voice cracked again, unmistakably softer than before. Sophie leaned forward, resting her chin on her hand. "Okay, let's cut to the chase. Names matter. They tell the world who you are. And right now, you're in limbo. Maybe the box knows that. Maybe that's why it won't leave you alone." Daniel frowned. "You think a name is going to fix this?" Sophie smirked. "Not fix. Reveal. There's a difference." As if to prove her point, the puzzle box clicked again. Another parchment slid free. Daniel unfolded it, hands shaking. The words were simple but chilling. "She already knows her name. Will you listen?" Daniel's pulse spiked. "Listen to who?" Sophie raised an eyebrow. "I think they mean you. Or her. Whichever way you want to put it." That evening, Daniel stood before the bathroom mirror again, staring at the girl's reflection. His breath fogged the glass as he whispered, "Who are you?" For a moment, silence. Then, faint as a dream, a whisper curled through his thoughts. "Lena." Daniel staggered back, clutching the sink. The word hadn't come from outside. It was inside him, deep and certain, like it had always been there waiting. "Lena," he repeated, and the mirror shimmered faintly as though in agreement. His reflection smiled her smile, and for the first time, it felt less like a stranger's face. When Daniel stumbled back into the living room, Sophie looked up from the couch. One glance at his wide eyes told her everything. "You found it, didn't you?" she asked softly. He swallowed hard. Her name, it's Lena. Sophie's grin was gentle, but fierce. Then Lena it is. Welcome, cousin. Guess you've been hiding a long time. Lena felt her throat tighten, emotions crashing over her like a tide. For the first time, the name didn't feel foreign. It felt like home. And in the corner, the puzzle box went silent, no clicks, no glow, as if satisfied. For now. The morning after discovering her name, Lena sat at the kitchen table, hands wrapped around a mug of tea that had long gone cold. She kept whispering it to herself, testing how it felt on her tongue. Lena. Every time she said it, the puzzle box pulsed faintly, almost like approval. Sophie breezed into the room with a bag of bagels. Morning, Lena, she said casually, as though she'd been saying it her whole life. Lena's heart skipped. Don't call me that so easily, she muttered, blushing. Sophie grinned. Why not? It's yours. Unless you'd rather I keep saying Danny, which, let's be honest, doesn't fit anymore. Lena looked down, her cheeks burning. She didn't want to admit Sophie was right. Look, Sophie continued, sliding a bagel onto her plate, you don't have to figure everything out today. But hiding in this apartment forever? Not an option. We need to test this. Small steps. Lena groaned. You're enjoying this way too much. Sophie smirked. Maybe, but someone's gotta push you.